It's Money Mondays, sis, and I keep chopping my head off. Alexa, volume 3. It's Money Mondays, sis, and today we are hanging out with Vegan Chef. Alexa, turn off. Alexis, don't be listening to me, sis. I be telling her the same thing all the time. Well, all month long, I am going to be bringing a few of my financial friends on to celebrate different aspects of our wealth. For me, wealth is not only how much money you make, but it's also the experiences that you have. Wealth is also what you're able to do with the money, how you share it, how you save it, and how you invest it. Thanks for tuning in. How you doing, sis? So I'm so glad. Today's guest is a vegan chef. I'm gonna drop her IG in the comment section. The name of her page is Yes Baby I Like It Raw. I almost said Ooh Baby I Like It Raw because that's just what it makes me think of. So set your timers for Money Mondays. All month long, I will be encouraging you to celebrate an aspect of your money. If you specifically think about the most valuable parts of yourself, right? It would be your breath and it would be your blood, right? It would be your breath and it would be your blood. And for me, the fact that I am connected to breath and blood, it makes everything else easy for me, right? So today, the aspect of our wealth is that we're going to focus on would definitely be the aspect of our health and how our health positions us to create wealth, how we take care of our bodies, how we take care of our minds, and how much of that we can transfer over to our children is also a part of our legacy. Okay, so Nzingah is going to join us on the screen now. She's going to be sharing some tips with us about things that she's doing to maintain her health. Hey, Nzingah, thanks for joining us. She's going to be sharing some aspects that she shares with her clients as it relates to helping them stay healthy during COVID. So I know that you also do some wellness coaching in Nzingah, and mostly I help my clients focus on their money. And for me, there is just a high correlation between what you intake into your body and how that impacts your budget. So that's why I wanted you to be with us to share some of the things that you've been doing for yourself as well as for your clients and helping them maintain the most valuable parts of themselves, right? Because when you think about money, money can be replaced, in time. But if you have a challenge in your blood, right? If you have a challenge with breath, now you have a very expensive problem. So thanks for hanging out with us. Oh, wait, hold on, Nzingah. Wait, we gotta give the people some money. So those that are sitting in with us, it is tradition for me not to come up in here and share some money with you, sis. So I want you to open up your spiritual purse. I want you to open up your actual purse. I want you to open up whichever one of your purses that makes you feel the most valued. Because I'm gonna give you some money, honey. You ready? My machine be hating every now and then, but sis, I'll go manual quickly. You ready? Whoa. That money coming slow, but it shows, sis. It's slow, but it shows. Oh, that's exactly how I want you to feel when you connect with me. I hope that you're able to take at least one piece of wealth wisdom to insert in your purse and create more money. All right, Nzingah. So we've been COVIDing all year long. And what are some very easy things that you do as soon as you come in the house? Like as soon as you go outside and then you come in the house, what's something that you do?
Drink some water.
Okay. Why drink some water? Why is that the first thing?
Because whatever might be lingering, you can flush it with water. And most people are dehydrated, and a dehydrated body isn't a body that's going to be able to do what it needs to do from an immune sense of things. So I drink some water. I have some fresh fruits or vegetables. Typically, I'm making sure I'm eating a piece of fruit. Particularly in this time, I'm making sure I'm eating foods that are high in vitamin C. And so that might look like an orange or grapefruit. They're in season, so it's a good time to start having that. Or it might even look like red peppers, and red peppers actually have more vitamin C than our navel oranges. So that's one of my go-tos. Another go-to is just making sure I have a minute to pause, stop, and reset. If we are stressed out, then our immune system is going to be compromised. And I think we're too connected at this point in a way that the information that we're getting from the internet or the news media isn't helpful to our well-being. And so when I come in, I stop, I pause, I take a minute to meditate. So I drink the water and then just kind of download in, and then I come back to the world.
Okay, so when I come in, the first thing that I do when I walk in the door is I wash my hands and I take my zinc. Right? I take my zinc. Like, I don't know, like I read this study. That's why I don't like to read too many things, because as soon as I read something, man, especially if I cross-reference it and it feels like a win, like it becomes Bible to me, right? So right now, zinc is Bible. Are there any specific supplements that you are sharing with your clients that you would recommend?
Sure. So I always say this: your food is your first medicine. And so you want to be making sure that you're eating foods that have these things that we're trying to supplement through. So again, that's why I'm eating certain foods, because I know they're high in certain things that I want. I would say one of the main supplements I suggest most people have, just because a lot of people don't have the opportunity, particularly if they're not living in places like South Florida, is your vitamin D. And most people are deficient in vitamin D. And that vitamin D is a hormone that plays such a crucial role in terms of our hormones that it's just super important that we supplement that. Magnesium is another supplement that I suggest people to take, because again, it plays a vital role in so many levels in terms of cellular and metabolic function. And then I also suggest things like zinc, but if you're eating certain foods, you should be good. So, you know, like I believe food is your first supplement, and then in places that you can't get it from your food naturally, then that's where you come in on the back end. And that's things like vitamin D, because vitamin D is usually made through our contact with the sun via our skin.
Nice, nice. So I think one of the reasons, and I'm totally with you in terms of food being the basis of fuel, that is always, I mean, I find that when you don't, like if you have been eating poorly for a very long time, like, I mean, I grew up eating a lot of crazy things. So as an adult, I really had to reset my palate just so that when I take and I eat something that that I don't particularly care for, I kind of get in my mind. That's kind of like how I set the tone for it. It's like, hey, Shawnee, this is for fuel. It's not necessarily going to taste good. You might not necessarily like it. And things like that. So I look at it as food as being fuel. But here's another thing that I'm constantly challenged by as it relates to supplement is me and my research. So the reason why I infuse my ideology with food being my first level of fuel, which supports what it is that you're offering. But I read the study a while back, and it challenged like the nutritional value that's available in food now. So the salad that I eat now, let's say I ate one, it would, and I'm trying to compare it to what my grandmother ate, you know, when she was my age. I literally would have to eat 6, 7 salads just for it to be equivalent in nutritional value, just because of all the pesticides, all of the things that goes inside of the food is always degrading it. So that's why I kind of like wanted to kind of mention that as relates to supplements, you know, because even when you know, I'll let you take over from that because I know.
So the challenge also with supplementation. So like now here's Nzingah, not the vegan chef, but holistic practitioner. It could be supplements or food. If your colon is impacted, you're not getting anything. You're not going to get most of the things that you're trying to ingest, right? So there has to be a conversation about, are you having regular bowel movements? Because if you're not having regular bowel movements, that means that where the absorption of vitamins and minerals happen, that's not going to happen because you're impacted with waste. So, and then with supplementation, you want to make sure it's not synthetic, because over time, your body won't read it as anything, and you're going to be encountering the same issues. So food, if you're getting, not everything is really bad. Of course, you want to be conscious of the soil that you're using. I know a lot of us are starting to garden at home, but that doesn't necessarily mean that food that we're gardening with, unless we're being really mindful of our soil and reading it, because there is a science to farming for nutrients. That's not a conversation we often see, but I think so. It's multi-layered when we talk about like supplementation and mineral and vitamin absorption. And so, from a holistic practice, if you want to see if you might be challenged with absorption, if you stick your tongue out and you have wrinkling around your edges, that's an indication that you have malabsorption.
Okay. Got it. Right. So that just handled all of that. I really, really appreciated that. Okay. For those of you that are sitting in the comment section, I am going to drop, one of the cool things that we're going to do is, this is not the last time that you're going to see Nzingah. We're actually going to do a digital Friendsgiving, right? And it's going to be a cooking class, right? So if you would like to test out some vegan cooking, I'm going to drop that link in the comment section. Is a free class. All you have to do is sign up for it. All of the wisdom that Nzingah is sharing here, she's just going to extend that even more in the digital Friendsgiving. So I'll share that link with you here. All right, so let's go to Teresa's question. Teresa wanted to know, is a multivitamin sufficient enough?
So I know some of you are getting to know me. That question is I believe that everything is on a one-to-one basis. What I need in terms of vitamins and minerals might be different than Shani, because I absorb things differently than she, because we have different DNA, we have different blood types. Oftentimes, a multivitamin is a supplement to your food, and people take it as the opposite, that the multivitamin is going to make up for the food, right? So again, your food is your first medicine. It's your first multivitamin. And so you want to think of it like this. You want to eat the rainbow. If you are touching all the colors throughout the day, then you're going to be pretty good when it comes to your vitamins and minerals, especially if you're getting enough fiber, because then that's going to help you with that absorption that we were talking about just a minute ago. But oftentimes a multivitamin might not be enough because you might already be deficient, or you're not even absorbing the multivitamin, because many of the multivitamins on market are synthetic and our bodies don't read it like they read food.
Got it. That was huge. So for those of you that is hanging out in the comment section, in terms of budgeting, how does food relate to budgeting? I think that once you realize that some of the food that you are buying is actually synthetic, it even amplifies how much money you're wasting, right? It even amplifies it, right? Because you're using some very coded language, which I think is very healthy. You're saying things like your body doesn't even read what it is that you are putting in your body as food. It doesn't even read it because of the level of synthetic GMOs that's going inside of it, you know? So that's a very interesting concept. So when you think about, okay, I'm spending $100 on these supplements, I'm spending $80 on these supplements, and it's synthetic, it's basically going to waste, right? So when you think about your budget, when you have in your mind that what I'm purchasing is actually helpful, it's going to improve my body, it's a complete misnomer. Thank you for clearing that up. That was a good one. Thank you.
So when you're looking at multivitamins, you want to look and see that they're food-based, and you need to read the really read the label. Is it saying it's vitamin C, but at the bottom, oh yeah, we added some fruit in there, and that's how we're saying we're food-based? Or they're saying that this vitamin C has been derived from a fruit. This vitamin whatever is being derived from the fruit. So there's and that's where it gets tricky, because the pharmaceutical and nutraceutical companies know how to kind of like make things ambiguous in such a way that you think you're getting something from a food-based source when in reality it was made in a lab.
Right. So I guess one of the for those of you that are taking notes, a huge thing is to just consider, number one, she just mentioned a high point for you, whether or not if it's fruit based. That can be an indicator to let you know. And I think one of the things that I'm taking away from it is just reinforcement in terms of Shani. Your first line of medicine is definitely going to be your food. Your diet is going to be your your basic regimen. I think we had a question from Saisha. Let me see. Saisha, I'm sorry about that. Yeah. What is food that we should watch out for, especially because fast food places are so easy to come by? I'm going to say snacks. That's always me. I roll with my snacks.
Foods we should watch out for. That's, it depends on the individual. Like in your case, like snacks are your kryptonite, right? So
no, they're not my kryptonite. No. So she was saying like what to kind of, have with you. So me, the way how I steer clear of eating food that's not good for me is I roll with my snacks, like I have a lunch bag, I put my apples, I put my oranges, so wherever I am, I'm not without my nutrition.
Can I see that question one more time?
Yeah, it said, what are foods we should watch out for, especially because fast food places are so easy to come by?
So maybe I'm reading it wrong. I'm reading it, what foods should I avoid? So that because fast foods. So a great documentary was the one, oh gosh, I can't think of it right now. Super Size Me. The guy had a hamburger in that documentary, and the hamburger was like living still, or French fries. He had French fries from McDonald's.
What do you mean the hamburger was living? What do you mean?
The French fries did not expire, like no mold. They look the same.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Right? And so you don't want foods that have been introduced with so many preservatives that they can exist for a long time, right? You want your foods to be able to spoil. So the more processed they become, the less beneficial they are to you. You want to avoid foods with lots of steroids and hormones, because when you eat those steroids and hormones, then they are then affecting your body. And this is why we are now having, we're becoming more resistant to antibiotics, because we're being overly exposed to antibiotics, to a lot of the meats and poultry that we're putting into our bodies, or even the dairy industry. So those are the foods I would say, look at the foods that have a lot of steroids, they had to put a lot of antibiotics in them in order for them to thrive. Look at the foods that have like a lot of chemicals. I always say, if you're trying to look for a quick list in terms of organic, because not everyone can afford to eat 100% organic, is go to EWG.org. That's the Environmental Workers Group. And they have a list called the Dirty Dozens. And the Dirty Dozens are 12 things that you absolutely should buy organic, because when they test them, their numbers in terms of like pesticides and things like that are off the Richter scale, particularly with women, because we hold more fat in our bodies. That means that we're going to absorb those things at a higher rate than our male counterparts. And so that's why a lot of times we see a lot of hormone disruption in our bodies, because of how we take things in a little bit differently than our male counterparts.
Okay, that was huge. Thank you for that. That was very, very helpful. So I shop from the Dirty Dozen. That's one of mine. How can you identify the supplements are synthetic? Okay, we answered that question right there. You handled that one with ease. I was going to say something else about like food. So when you think about it, right, and how much money you spend in the grocery store, because that's one of the number one things that I find with my clients to be wasting, right? So I remember when I first started shopping organic, I would definitely overspend and waste. I would waste a lot. And it was like, because I was like kind of frantic when I first started shopping, like, oh my gosh, I need to watch out for this label and watch out for this, and all this kind of stuff. And I would be very wasteful. So not meal planning would kind of create a level of, waste for me. So do you have any simple tips on meal planning?
There's a lot of great resources out in terms of meal plans. There are digital platforms that allow you to meal plan more effectively. And what I love about the digital platforms is that they let you account for like your micronutrients as well as your calories, like your macros versus your micros. So then you can start to see where you're doing well in your food in terms of your vitamins and minerals and where you're doing bad. So you just have to find one that works for you. But with meal planning, it definitely allows you to be more efficient in terms of spending at the grocery store. And so I always say when you're building out your meal plan, if you're doing it by hand, you pick one ingredient and then figure out how you can use that same ingredient in a different way throughout the week. So like, for instance, if I make a Buddha bowl is like a bowl with different vegetables and grains and protein and things like that. And I have like a base grain like quinoa, I might use that quinoa one morning for a breakfast. Or if I have beans I might use the beans for a soup, but then I might use the beans for like an enchilada, or I might use the beans in my smoothie as a form of protein. So you have to get creative. And I think a lot of times we've lost our creativity because we're used to eating the same thing over and over again. So just giving yourself a little time and compassion to start to find out what works for you, and setting up a day to shop and set up a day to cook.
Yeah. That's totally, that's 100%. All right, so I am going to drop in the comments. Nzingah is going to be leading our cooking class for the digital Friendsgiving that's happening on Monday, November the 23rd. She's going to be chefing it up. We will send you a list of the ingredients that you are going to need to prepare for the class, but the class is absolutely free. It is my Thanksgiving gift to you. As we wrap up, so we talked about one of the first things you do when you come home, when you've been exposed to the outside world, you come in. Would you just share with us some simple things that you would say are must-haves to have in our kitchen to, keep our immune system up to par?
Vitamin D. Just because, like,
which foods are vitamin D rich?
That's the only supplement I'm saying you have to supplement. Particularly now, because I don't know if all of your audience is in South Florida, but even people in South Florida are vitamin D deficient. And we really understand the role of vitamin D. People who are vitamin D deficient are more likely to have cancer. People who are vitamin D deficient, studies are now showing they're more likely to have worse symptoms from COVID. People who are vitamin D deficient have immunosuppression. So vitamin D is such a crucial hormone that we're not getting enough of because most of us are not spending enough time outside. So before I say supplement, try to get some time outside. If you're dark like me, you need to spend more time outside because our melanin takes a little bit longer for us to produce the vitamin D. And so if you're having lunch, maybe consider having lunch outside as opposed to having it inside, and have like your large parts of your body exposed so that it can convert the sunlight into a vitamin D cascade. Other things that I suggest having is some fresh fruits and vegetables, trying to buy things that are in season. Typically the things that are in season are really in excess and they're on sale. So for instance, right now, pomegranate is in season, grapefruit is in season. There's a whole list of things that are in season, and you kind of want to eat with things in season because whatever's in season will help you adjust to the nuances of the season in your respective state or country. So like the foods change based on the needs that you will have for the physical conditions that you're in. Water is something that people take for granted, but it's so critical. And I know everyone's like, oh yeah, water, drink your water, half your body weight in fluid ounces. If you can get a gallon, even better.
Nzingah, how are some ways that you can identify that you may have had too much water? Because sometimes I see people like just like the mineral coming out just because they end up just intaking too much water?
Very rarely do most people have too much water.
Hmm.
Most people are dehydrated. Indication of dehydration, you're thirsty. Indications, a lot of times people have wrinkles because they're dehydrated. Other indications of dehydration is when you have poop, it's balls that you have to really work hard to expel. You're having issues with constipation. Your urine is very dark and it has an odor. So very rarely do I find people who have issues with minerals being depleted because they're drinking too much water. A lot of times it's because they're sweating too much. And in that case, those people need to be supplementing for their sweat through things like coconut water, things like watermelon juice, and that'll help to remineralize them. And then there's some supplements in terms of source minerals, liquid source minerals as well. But if you're eating properly, your food would then resupplement those things. But I rarely find people who are overhydrated. Like rarely. I've never met anyone who's overhydrated, to be quite honest. And I want to say one thing about water. If drinking water is overwhelming, remember you don't have to drink it. You can also eat it. So that's where you're going to eat foods that are super hydrating, like your cucumbers, your watermelon, your oranges, your grapefruit. Count towards your water intake as well.
Nice. Seisha wanted to know, when you were talking about drinking water, you need to body in ounces or in half. What was that? She wanted you to clear that up because I think I kind of jumped in.
It's half your body weight in fluid ounces. So if I weighed 100 pounds, I would divide that by 2, and that means I need to drink 50% or 50 fluid ounces of water. However, if you're working out, that means you're going to need to drink a bit more than that. If you're eating a lot of cooked foods are dehydrating to the body because your body needs to hydrate them in order for it to break it down. Then you're going to probably need to drink more water. That's why I'm saying that, remember, you can supplement by having hydrating food, having hydrating meals as well in terms of your water intake. And again, you can see if you're hydrated by just paying attention to your urine. And if it's on the darker end of the spectrum, that means unless you've just had a vitamin or a supplement, and usually that's a neon yellow, but you know that dark yellow is very different than when you've just had a supplement.
All righty, folks. Well, this is our vegan chef, Nzingah from Yes, Baby, I Like It Raw. I did drop the link in the comment section for those of you who want to be a part of our digital Friendsgiving. We are going to be expressing some money, gratitude, and Nzingah is going to be doing a hands-on demonstration. So we will be sending out a list of what you will need to prepare for the digital Friendsgiving that's taking place on Monday, November the 23rd. As always, I am very thankful that you shared a lot of wealth wisdom with us tonight. Oh, your demonstration. I think we're gonna save it for the class. We're in 30 minutes. Okay. We're gonna save it in. Oh, last question from Seisha is when it comes to the water, is that the same rule of thumb for children?
Typically.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. You know, and with children, if they're getting used to drinking water, give them more fruits. Fresh. And again, remember, fruits are anything that have a seed as a fruit. So often we only think of sweet things. If your child doesn't really care for like an apple or something like that, then you can give them like cucumbers, which are super hydrated, or having a green smoothie can count towards your water intake. So like giving them something like that.
Okay, folks. So again, I hope that you are taking at least one thing that added some value to your purse for sure. I definitely took in some health wisdom that I'm going to convert over into wealth wisdom. For those of you who want to be a part of our digital Friendsgiving, the link is in the comment section. And next week, we will be having a financial advisor in with us that's going to be talking about how she is thankful about the wisdom that she has to be investing in the market amid COVID. So make sure you hit up those links, and I'll see you next week. Holla!